please, the floor is yours for 1 minute.
Thank you very much. 1 minute will be very difficult to describe a very challenging media situation in Slovenia. You know well that last week we witnessed Slovenia's Prime Minister Janez Janša harassing Brussels journalists on social media because he did not like simply her reporting. Another the downturn in press freedom in Slovenia. And you heard before, my country is going to assume the EU presidency in the second half of this year. I regret to observe that the most alarming case today is perhaps exactly Slovenia. And before Slovenia takes over the presidency, let me remind that the country prime ministers, Janša, has caught attention and regular press coverage in several international media, ranging from the New York Times and the Guardian, Politico to ZDF. Regrettably, the news are not good. And for the majority of citizens of Slovenia, they are highly embarrassing. And according to the survey of the European Parliament, more than 79% of Slovenian respondents find that Slovenia is going in the wrong direction. This is the most of all EU countries. And since ever Janša came to power 11 months ago, the international community could read international press reporting on Slovenians backsliding on democracy, government abuse of power, congratulations to Donald Trump, launch of war against culture, and repeated attacks on news media that Janša considered biased. Whenever there is a media report about any misuse of power or any criticism of Janša government, both Orban and Janša launch an ad hominem attack against the journalists. And all of a sudden, the discussion is not on the misuse of power anymore, but on the journalists under attack. Their aim is very clear: first discredit and then to destroy and eliminate. Now, I mentioned a few of the cases, but what is more concerning just now is exactly the stories around the Slovenian national broadcaster, press agency. For example, the funding for public media is cut for the National Press Agency. In December 2020, Janša government suspended the funding of the Slovenian Press Agency. And just today, we are receiving the news. It's not really officially confirmed, but it's a website that is open. After many attacks on the National Press Agency, it seems that Janša's close collaborators founded National Press Agency where many far-right opinion leaders will publish their side of the stories. When it comes to the national public broadcaster, there is another public media constantly under attack by Janša. This is our RTV company in Slovenia. Back in spring last year, RTV Slovenia reported on a pay rise for ministers in pandemic, and Janša told to broadcaster to stop spreading lies. We pay you in these times to inform and not to mislead the public. He blasted, and there are too many of you and you are too well paid. So there is a lot of discreditation and a lot of attacks to journalists. We have saying that the government is carrying out the war against press in Slovenia. And of course, also the same concern one of the biggest newspapers in Slovenia, Delo. And there were some Janša fired of tweets accusing Delo of serving deep state tycoons and adding the hashtags fake news and prostitution. So there are, in the last few months, several international organizations, not only journalist organizations, but also OSCE and Council of Europe, that have expressed concern at the attacks on journalists, but the government has dismissed them with baseless accusations. It insists most mainstream media is part of the legacy of the totalitarian communist past, and that Janša is entitled to call attention to irregularities and abuses when taxpayers' money is at stake at the public broadcaster. So I have to say that the media situation is extremely worrying and deteriorating in my country. And I strongly believe, as a former journalist, as a politician and as a person, Slovenian, the freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and the freedom of the press are really the core values of our democratic society, and also the core values of our Social Democratic Party in Slovenia. And we have to ensure and do everything also at today's conference and all our discussions. It's our obligation to promote media pluralism in the European Parliament, in our European countries, institutions, and support independent journalism throughout the European Union. Thank you.
Thank you.